Hello, Mal here, and welcome to another art stream. This one is an Itchy Feet art stream. If you're just coming here to join me for Power Vacuum, which is the game that's on Kickstarter right now, we're in the last 5 days. Come back it, Kickstarter Power Vacuum, check it out. But I actually finished all the artwork for Power Vacuum, so now I'm gonna do this week's Itchy Feet. I've got the sketch here. I'm gonna ink it. I'm gonna do it live. You're gonna hang out with me, and there's nothing you can do about it except to comment, and we can chat. I'm happy to talk about my process. If you haven't done one of the, if you're from Itchy Feet and you're checking this out, because I'm broadcasting this on Facebook, right? I think so. I'm planning to do more of these. I did one of these a couple weeks ago, and I liked it. It's fun. I'm gonna do probably an Itchy Feet art stream once a month or so, because I do Itchy Feet, as you know, every week. All right, let's get into today's sketch. You can also leave comments and I can highlight them and I can answer questions, or I can just talk while I draw. This week's comic is, and if you are watching, just leave a comment, let me know, or the comment, let me know if you can hear me okay, or if you can't. That's fine too. All right. This week's comic is kind of making fun of, how they have like priority economy now. Hey, Sam, nice to see you. Glad it sounds good. For those of you coming from Power Vacuum, as you may or may not know, I do a weekly webcomic called Itchy Feet, which is where this whole journey started, this whole tabletop and art board game thing. I started this webcomic, Itchy Feet, back in 2011. And I did it initially just as a way to tell friends and family about, I had just moved to Europe for the first time. I was living in France, which was my first time away from the US, or at least my first time on extended. I was actually born outside the States, but my first time as an adult person living outside. I was living in France, and instead of keeping a blog or writing emails to friends and family, I thought I could just do like a weekly comic about something funny I noticed or some funny experience that happened to me, and it just kind of took off. And then I decided to do a card game, Itchy Feet, based on the comic. That's where my card game, Itchy Feet, got its first life. And here we are. Now I'm publishing my third board game. And this seems to be the path I'm on now. So thank you, Itchy Feet. Thank you, comic. I'm here using Procreate, which is the app on the iPad Pro. It's the 12-inch one. I wish they would make a bigger one, actually. 12-inch is pretty huge. Heck of a journey. Man, I love your, is that you, Sam, in the profile pic? Yeah, a footballer, as they say? Or is that just a favorite footballer of yours? Would love to know. Yeah, I use the iPad Pro. I would, like I said, I would love if they made a bigger one. This one's about the size of a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and could be bigger. Like that's not actually that big. You know, if you think about drawing tables that art students usually use, they're huge usually. Or draft paper, like, you know, if you're going to draw, if you're going to do illustration, proper illustration, usually have much larger pieces of paper. But so I would draw on a giant tablet if I could. But you know, I never really liked the you know, a lot of digital artists use the, what do they call it, the stylus with the pad. Oh, that picture's from you in high school. Nice. Good looking lad. If you don't mind my saying that. What was I saying? Got distracted by how good looking Sam is. Oh, the stylus is the like the pads. I don't even know what they're called. I never could get into those. It always threw me off having to like draw down here and look up here at what you're doing. I couldn't do it. It just so I was always really resistant to digital art, and I was doing pen and paper for a really long time, and then they came out with this happy little fella, the iPad with the pencil that draws right on the screen, and that really changed everything for me. I don't know. I always draw flight attendants or like airline employees with this hat. It's like square hat, but it's always the same hat that I put on, you know, like fast food employees. I don't know what that even is. It's like a folded hat. It's just in my head. Like, oh, wear these like square hat. I don't know why. It looks like an envelope. Now, do I want to go look up? I'm going to Google image search like what an airline hat looks like. You know what? I don't think they're like. I think that is the this way is the fast food hat. I think this, right? Like this way. That maybe? No, that doesn't look right either. We're going to compromise and do this. It looks like a cake. All right, we're sticking with the fast food hat. She's wearing a she or he is wearing a fast food hat. Hopefully no one's confused. Yeah, the paper waitress hat's exactly Sam. I don't know. All right, panel 1. You know, I forgot to do is duplicate the panels. So I do this because for my inking layer, because later I fill in the lines around it. Oh no, actually in this comic it doesn't matter. When the art meets the lines, I have to make it match meet up with the borders. But in this case, none of the art will, so except for this bonus panel. Every week. So I publish Itchy Feet on a platform called TinyView. They're like a comics app. And they offer a bonus panel of the comic for anyone who's a subscriber, which you don't even have to pay for. You can subscribe for free. Of course, paying is better. It's a cool app. Supports lots of comic artists like me, other big ones, big web comics like Foul Language and Awkward Yeti has a comic on there. Heart and Brain, that's the other big one. And Lunar Baboon, some big hitters in the comics world. They're all on TinyView. But I was the first. I was the first one on TinyView. The guy reached out to me before anyone else. He wanted to, he was using me as bait for some of the bigger ones. That's my guess. Because Itchy Feet has always been relatively well followed, but I mean, some of these comics have followers in the millions. That's not Itchy Feet. Itchy Feet's too niche for that. It's also fine. I don't know what I would do with myself. I had millions of followers. Also, the nature of following has changed a lot since Sometimes I put the tongue, sometimes not. I think in this case it's better without, actually. Oh, here he does have it. The nature of following has changed a lot since I started the comic. I was lucky. I started the comic before they kind of... Yeah, it looks okay. Before these big social media platforms change their algorithms to disadvantage the creators that are using it. So now on Facebook, for example, it used to be I could post a comic and it would go out to a bunch of followers. And now it goes out to a very small percentage because Facebook wants me to pay them to reach followers. That's why if you're watching this on Facebook right now, you might be like, wait a sec. When was the last time Mal posted a comic? Every week. Facebook's not showing you. Mark needs to buy another super yacht. You know, he can't. Look, we all got bills to pay. You know, I got to pay rent. Mark Zuckerberg's got to pay for his yacht repairs. I mean, it's not easy out there for people, big or small. So, but I'm not going to contribute to Mark's yacht. I'm just not going to do it. I don't feel like it. That's why I like TinyView, because they actually pay us. I have to say, I was doing a lot of art for Power Vacuum. Back it on Kickstarter now. Which is not Bean People. Power Vacuum is one of the first projects I've done, except for the Intrepid Family Wicklow, for those of you who follow my work super closely. But apart from that, Power Vacuum is the first project I've done. Doesn't have Bean People art. Some people consider Itchy Feet a bean, which is where Keen Bean Studio comes from. That's where the name comes from. People thought it was a bean. It actually started out as a spleen. The original Itchy Feet, like if you look at the original ones, all these characters were organs, like body organs. There was a spleen, so the main character was a spleen. There was like hearts and eyeballs, and like that was the idea. Initially, it was like, oh, what if there was the world like populated instead of by people, by like body organs? Which I think there's been a comic since then that's done that, but taken it to the extreme. If I remember correctly, I forget what it's called. Might be Heart and Brain. I don't remember. But eventually I just got tired of drawing. It's just too many like little details, and also it didn't really have anything to do with the comic. The comic was about living in France as an American, and here are all these body organs. So I just kind of dropped it. But now I kept the rough shapes, which is why you have all these. I guess now they look like beans. There you go, Keen Bean Studio. So I miss drawing bean characters because I was doing a lot of appliance. Because the characters in Power Vacuum are all like appliance people, the toaster people and stuff. And the dimensions of them are much more human than Bean People are. So it's nice to go back once a week to draw these Bean People. Sorry, what? This is a funny one. Itchy Feet doesn't always make me laugh, but this one I think is pretty good. I know you can't see the whole comic yet. Or you probably could see the sketch if you rewound to the beginning. But I think I'm happy with this one. I'm not always happy every week with Itchy Feet. The important thing is output. If you're in a creative field, that's the most important advice I can give you. I used to teach filmmaking. That's where this comes from. It's a school in Berlin where I used to teach filmmaking. And that was one of the hallmarks of the course was output. Always be putting stuff out, even if you don't think it's good, especially if you don't think it's good, actually, because it's really good to get that feedback. You can't be too precious about your work. And most people are really self-conscious and precious about their work. And I don't think, who It doesn't do anyone any good. Perfectionism is death. It's better to be prolific than to be perfectionist. I'm sure you can name some artists that are perfectionist, and that's great. And they only put things out when it's ready. Hello, Jose. Do you sell the book? What book do you mean? Itchy Feet? There is, if you go to my store on Keen Bean Studio, you can get, I have currently three Itchy Feet collections out. You can get them. They're currently print on demand from Amazon, which I know is not the best, but at some point I will probably do like a hardbound Kickstarter or something. Sorry, a hardbound book. I'll launch it on Kickstarter or something like that, following the model I've been doing with games for now, where I raise a bunch of money to be able to afford the minimum print cost, because Itchy Feet doesn't sell often enough for me to store a bunch of them in a warehouse or anything, which is why I do it on print on demand. But yeah, for now you can get those. You can get them collected there on Amazon through my site. And if you do it through my site, this is a funny thing about Amazon is, so Amazon print on demand will pay me some small amount of the cost of the book. And I also, if you do it through my site, there's an affiliate link. And so those of you who know Amazon affiliate, basically if you follow that link and then you get those books or anything else. In fact, I think if you don't even have to buy the books. If you go follow that link and then you get anything on Amazon, I think, but certainly the books, Amazon will pay me a bit of the order. They'll pay me for the affiliation, for me being the one to send them to Amazon, and they pay me more for that than they do for the book, like than my cut of the book. So that's why I have them on my site, because then I get to double dip Amazon. They pay me for the book and they pay me for the affiliation. So take that, Jeff. If I can't contribute to Mark's yacht, at least Jeff's I can skim a bit off the Bezos yacht. Or are we all just laundering billionaire money here? Like, is our economy just become billionaires giving money back and forth through us? It's a depressing thought. The irony hurts. It does, Sam. Oh well. Yeah, but I've seen some pretty cool hardcover, like hard book collections of comics and things on Kickstarter. I think it might be a good place to do it. I just haven't gotten around to it, honestly. And in fact, I think this year I'm due for another collection, because I do collections every 5 years. 4th collection is coming up this year. Crazy. I've been doing this comic 13 or 14 years. Oh my God. Yeah, 2011. So it's 13 years. That's crazy. So Sam asks, what are the lines you were kind of tracing over, drawn on paper, and then copied to digital? The lines are sketched, so it's all digital at this point. I have this sketch layer here, and what I do is like it sounds, I sketch it at full opacity, and I do it with this pencil. It says HB pencil. Obviously, none of this is an actual pencil. And I'll do a little sketch, and then I turn down the opacity and do an ink layer with a Mal ink brush. Because I used to do everything on paper, and this is how I would do it. I would sketch it on paper with pencil, and then I would ink it over with a special pen. It's like a special inking pen. And I couldn't beat the habit. That's just the way I've always drawn. And so this is how I've done it. I've kind of reproduced it digitally here, which is a bit silly. I'm sure there are alternate ways, and I'm sure lots of digital artists don't restrict themselves to the way that it's done typically in person, but that's how I do it. I cheat a little bit with these circles. See, there's this cool tool where you can hold it down and it will create circles and stuff. Even though I have to say, I think I'm pretty okay at hand drawing circles. I'm not brilliant, but it's not so bad. Drawing circles is actually really hard because you kind of have to go in a it's good practice. If you want to learn to draw, circles is really good. Squares as well, obviously. You want them to kind of look uniform. Jose, that is the old one. So Itchy Feet, the Traveling Language Comic, Volume 1. When I did them in volumes, they were smaller. So you're only getting, I think, 50 comics. And now I do them every 5 years. Those were done every year for a while. Now I do them every 5 years, and they're in, I think they're called collections or anthologies. I don't remember. And so I learned that anthology is actually the wrong term. Anthology is a collection of lots of different artists or writers. And so now I call them collections. But you want to look for the first collection, which has all the comics from the beginning to the first 5 years, is the 2011 to 2016, I guess. Yeah, 16 or 14. Maybe there would be 3 years. Oh man, I don't remember. It's been a while since I made the last book, so 3 or 5 years. And yeah, those are the bigger collections. But yeah, you can still get the smaller ones too. Itchy Feet, Travel Language Comic. Those ones are still printing as well. If you prefer a smaller size. Yeah, Jose, if you go to store.keenbean.studio, then you can follow those links and you'll find the larger collections. And they'll ship anywhere in the world. Thanks, Amazon. One thing that's Amazon has really made difficult for folks like myself is this whole thing with free shipping. Amazon has their own little fleet of vehicles they can send around, and so they can afford to not charge anything to ship everything that they send you. Now everyone's used to free shipping. But of course, me as on Kickstarter, I can't charge free shipping. It's because shipping is really expensive, actually. So Amazon has kind of spoiled everybody. I do my best. I subsidize a lot of the shipping on Kickstarter because I know that people don't want to pay the shipping. So, and I'm lucky because I do all the art myself, so I don't have to pay an artist. Obviously, I shouldn't shortchange myself, but it's one way it's one place I can put some of that money towards shipping instead of just keeping it all myself. Sometimes these comics. So this is one of the examples of the comic where the panels don't change. The composition of the panels are the same across every panel. Sometimes I'll change camera angles, so to speak, where one will be a wide and then it'll be a close, and then it'll kind of mix things up. And sometimes it's funnier if it does this and the panels stay uniform. In this case, I think this joke is funnier. Gibran, I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you. I'm glad you like my art style. I am not classically trained as an artist. I'm self-taught completely. I don't think I've ever taken an art class, but I've done a lot of School of YouTube. If I want to learn to draw something, I'll go onto YouTube and how to draw a shark. Although I have to do that much rarer now because I've kind of learned that if you want to draw things, they tend to be made up of basic shapes. So if you want to draw a shark, yeah, I'd have to look up what the basic anatomy. I still need references, but I don't have to look up how to draw a shark. I just look up a shark and then I go okay, a shark, I don't know, has kind of this shape. And then probably that, and oh man, no, sharks have flat tails. This is the worst shark. Well, it's not so bad, right? I'll take requests. Why not? We're here drawing anyway. If you want me to draw something in the margins of my itchy feet, I'll do it. It's going to be off the cuff, though. No references or research. This fella or lady is looking pleased with herself. An alpaca, Sam. Wow, really starting me on easy mode here. All right, an alpaca. I'm going to draw a super tiny alpaca here. No, too small. Okay. So they're kind of like llamas, right? But they have like a big nose. Right? Is this a dog? They have a long neck. Can I cheat just by having it here? And look, he's got one of those rugs on the back. Fluffy alpaca. He just shaved. That's why he's got the stubble. It's not bad. There you go, Sam. Here's your alpaca. Funny. Uh-oh. Smaller brush here. I have my eraser. This is a good one. I like the body language in this one. Fine. Fine. Thanks, Sam. I'm glad I got your approval. Good alpaca. Yeah, Roll Camera also had Bean people art inspired by Itchy Feet, but where it differs is they're colorful people in Roll Camera. And Itchy Feet is sort of black and white with colorful backgrounds. So Roll Camera, I flipped it. Where in Roll Camera, the people are colorful, but the backgrounds are white. That was the initial concept anyway. I like the colorful people, but they're not as good. And I did a whole series of Roll Camera comics while the initial Kickstarter campaign was running back in 2020, the summer of COVID. I did a whole series. I took over Itchy Feet, my comic, with Roll Camera comics. So if you want to, you can look on there. There's a whole bunch of Roll Camera themed comics from that month. I think I did 2 per week. So there should be 8. And it's not as, something about it. It's kind of, I don't know. It's harder on the eyes somehow. I didn't quite like the way the Roll Camera people in a comic format looked. Works well for board game card art though. Sometimes I'll copy. I did this last week or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. I did the last comic live stream. I copied a bunch of assets across panels. In this case, I think it's the similar setup where I had the same. It was like a desk. Yeah, I think that, right? The past week was my whole library. Yeah, the last week I also had a similar, like a airport desk. So I was copying and pasting. But this week, for some reason, I'm just drawing them all by hand, every panel. Which sometimes I like. Sometimes I like that you can see tiny differences in the line art between panel to panel. So you know, I worked on this. I did this by hand. All right. The anatomy of the Bean people is a bit weird. Like here, right? His arm comes from here, and his previous arm. If we think about this as like a bean, like a anatomically, then this arm should be the shoulder should be here, right? The shoulder here and here. this arm goes there. But if I put it here, it would be coming through the mouth. Like this arm would be coming here, which is why I don't do that. This is part of the reason why I would be really curious. I don't do animation. I've never done like animated anything. And I would be really curious to see Itchy Feet or any Bean people animated, because their anatomy would have to shift and change because again, it would look like his arm's coming out of his mouth if I did it where it was supposed to come out, which just not look right. I think I could do it though. I mean, The Simpsons is kind of similar, where their anatomy doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. You know, think about their hair, like Lisa Simpson's like pineapple hair or Bart's. And sometimes it's like blowing around and sometimes it's hard. They have to make those decisions, you know. They have to sit there and go, okay, Lisa got ice cream in her hair. Does the ice cream fall around the spikes, or do the spikes go flat when the hair is wet? Like, they have to think about all that stuff. They have style guides and so on for all those characters. I would love to have an Itchy Feet or a Roll Camera animated show. How great would that be? King Bean Studio animations would be awesome. Then again, you know, we've got so much content out there already. Do we really need more? Do there need to be more animated videos on YouTube or Netflix? Probably not. It's part of why I got out of film, actually. It's too much competition for our eyeballs. Used to be a movie would come out and that would be the movie everyone's talking about. Have you seen the film? One of 4 films that are out in the cinemas? And now it's like you couldn't possibly keep up with the amount of shows and movies coming out, even if you wanted to. I want to. I try to. I can't. It's not possible, which means every movie that comes out has less impact, you know? When was the last time there was a director like Tarantino? Like, who's the new Tarantino or the new Sofia Coppola or Wes Anderson? Like, these auteur filmmakers, we don't get new ones. And that's because films don't have as much impact as they used to, broadly speaking. Because, you know, a film comes out and everybody sees it and they forget about it and move on to the next thing. It's not to say people can't still have careers in it, but there's no like name recognition is not there anymore, which is not why I got into film. I wanted to make a career out of making them, not being famous. But board games is still a fairly young, small industry, and I think at least when I got into it, there was still a possibility. There wasn't so much coming out that it was totally oversaturated. I think we may be reaching that point soon in board games. But I was lucky enough to get in early enough that I think I was able to at least create a little space for myself in my work. We'll see, hopefully. But that's why, as I said at the top, like output, if you want to do creative work, output is the most important thing, because you never know what's the thing that's going to hit with people. Oh man, my cup is sliding all over the place. My cup keeps sliding around. It's part of the joke. Oh, I forgot to get water. I'm so thirsty. I live in Germany. I had a big schnitzel for dinner. I'm very salty. Now I'm parched. All right. Self-satisfied Itchy Feet guy. What an idiot. I'm so smart. Sometimes his head has to be just the right. It's like not quite a complete dome. Yeah, maybe. I did put the Itchy Feet guy in my in Power Vacuum, which I did all the art for. On Kickstarter now, back it. I found a place to put the Itchy Feet guy, this guy. The Keen Bean himself, the keenest bean. He's in Power Vacuum now. I guess that's my thing. He's going to be cameo in every game. Should there be something spilling out of here? Should it be that extreme? Nah. Doesn't even look like a cup. Like, what is this, a square? Also, this is tipping. It's not sliding. I'll do this. Well, so you slide tipping a little bit. Here we go. Where's the Itchy Feet guy? He got the upgrade. He paid the extra money to get the fancy tray with the... what a loser. He didn't pay extra to get the fancy tray. Whereas the Itchy Feet guy, yeah, he's... where's Waldo? I mean, he's not that well hidden. You'll see him if you are looking for him, but he's not super obvious. But I'm not going to just tell you, am I? Where's the fun in that? He's in roll camera twice. He's on one of the cards, and he's somewhere else. No, I don't think he's anywhere in the B-movie expansion, though, now that I think about it, or any of the story packs. That reminds me, I got to start doing the art for the new story pack, the Spy Thriller, which is a tie-in with Power Vacuum on Kickstarter now. Yeah, Sam, you got to find him. I have to do the Spy Thriller story pack number 4 for Roll Camera. Go back to Bean People. I just was powering through Power Vacuum. Power. And had to I didn't even think about the story pack. The design is done. It's good. I didn't design it. I developed it, but the designer, Kevin Privale, is working with me on, also with me on my new game coming out. Which comes after Power Vacuum, I think. It's a big one. It's called Almighty. He's helping me design that. We're co-designing that, and then he also helped me design the Spy Thriller. So now I'm doing the text. The text is done with a thicker brush, slightly thicker, and on its own layer. And that is kind of also a force of habit. It used to be because there used to be a bunch of Facebook pages that were doing translations of Itchy Feet into lots of different languages. And so I used to post these like textless versions for those people to, like blank ones, so they could translate it to their language. But that seems to have died down recently. But in the off chance that they'll ask for them again one day, I keep doing the text on a separate. It's just a good habit to get into. I tell you, inking this by hand every week has made my handwriting so much better. My handwriting used to be pretty crap. I'm definitely from the like AOL Instant Messenger generation of, the typing generation that started to realize like, wait, why are we writing stuff by hand anymore? We can type everything now. And then when I started doing Itchy Feet, initially I did have it. If you look at old Itchy Feet comics, they're done with a handwriting font. And then when I got this iPad, I was like, I should just do it myself, because I wanted everything to look handmade. and like hand done. And not that it had been done with a computer, despite the fact I'm doing it with an actual literal computer. But I really like that hand-drawn, handwritten look. If you've played Roll Camera, you're fully aware of, or Itchy Feet, the game, you're fully aware of this aesthetic that I like. And so I was like, I just do this. I'll just letter it. I think they call it in comics. I'll letter it myself, and it has made my handwriting better because I have to think about how I do each of these letters in a way that has to be clear enough to read really easily. I can't have such bad handwriting that you can't read it. Priority plus extra, or I ran out of space, then premium priority plus extraordinaire. I'm going to cheat here. Watch this. Watch my little trick. Yep. First, I'm going to nudge it over, and then I'm going to squash it in. No one will be the wiser. Uh-huh. How do you write uh-huh? That's how. Uh-huh. Sir, I see you're flying with us in Economy Super Priority Plus. For an extra $135, I can upgrade you to Economy Super Premium Plus, Premium Priority Plus Extraordinaire. Uh-huh. And what? I made a handwriting font, by the way, of my own handwriting, which is used. So I didn't hand letter all the text in like the cards on Roll Camera, for example. I did for the Itchy Feet game, which I regretted because then it got translated into some other languages and it was really hard to remove the text. So this is why I created a font of my own handwriting. And I put that one in. I use that for Roll Camera for all future games. I think it's in Power Vacuum as well. It's definitely on the Kickstarter page. There's a lot of that font on there. And I guess I could use it here in the comic. I've just gotten into the habit now of lettering the comic by myself, and it lets me do things like this. See, I think if I squash this, so these letters are all really small compared to these ones are much bigger and wider apart. It lets, handwriting lets me fudge some of that stuff that I couldn't really do otherwise with like a font. I mean, you can do it, but you can tell that it's being done. Whereas I think I get away with this because it feels like I'm doing it manually, which I am. Extraordinaire. C'est français là. Extraordinaire. That's a great accent. C'est un accent excellent, ça. Okay, I don't speak a lot of French anymore, so you have to forgive me. Però sì che parlo un po' di italiano e stasera ho parlato tanto italiano perché le mie suoceri sono italiani e loro non parlano neanche una parola di inglese, quindi so, Italian is okay. Und ich wohne hier in Deutschland, also jeden Tag muss ich auch ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen. That's some German. That's German for you. The really tricky thing is when I go out with my in-laws who are Italian, and we go and I need to translate from Italian into German. Like we're out somewhere and I need to translate between them and someone else who's, if they're ordering something or they want to buy something or they want to ask something to somebody or for whatever reason. That's really hard to do. Like, because I'm not a native Italian or German speaker. Español, claro que sí. Hablo también poco español. Actually, that was my first foreign language because I grew up in New Mexico in the States, and I learned Spanish. But now, since I've learned Italian, my wife's Italian, so that's where I learned Italian, and it gets mixed up in my head. They sound too similar, so I always tengo que practicar. I can't do it. I want to say ancora. See, it's just Italian comes into my head. I understand Spanish pretty well, but I don't speak it so well. Et français aussi, ma français, c'est vraiment mauvais. Got it. Whew. Jose, you're in Texas? Nice. We're neighbors. I went to Austin for South by Southwest. Roll Camera was nominated for a game award there, and they gave me a pass. So my brother and I went. It was so great. I mean, I know Austin. I don't know how. I know that it's controversial. It's not so real Texas, but I really liked it there. I haven't explored Texas that much myself, actually. I haven't been to much of the South at all. Southwest, sure. I've been, because again, I'm from New Mexico, so I spent a lot of time in Arizona, California, Utah, Colorado. I mean, a lot of time around there, but I've never been to like Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee. I've been once. I would love to take my family through the South, deep South, do a deep South road trip or something. Indentation. So what do you get for super premium economy priority plus extraordinaire? You get your traité bill include a little indentation to keep your cup from sliding around. Cup. This part's not so exciting. I'm sorry. Just doing the lettering. Sliding around. I like the Quebec accent in terms of French. I think that's my favorite. Has the wah. Like the Je suis de Quebec. Okay, that's probably terrible. I apologize to everybody. Je suis de Quebec. Je suis Québécois. Ones don't have that. It's not meant offensively. Some of my best friends are Quebecois. I actually know a lot of Quebecers. The guy who helped co-design the Itchy Feet card game with me, Maxime. One of the finest Quebecers to ever live. This is great. I love the blank panels. This is my... I don't do them so much anymore, but these like blank moments. Yeah, who am I kidding? Kidding. Let's do it. I want the little thing on the tray table. This is like supposed to be like okay, yeah, fine. Let's do it. 4 on extra. 2. The dollar sign, you have to be able to see all the holes, otherwise it's hard to read. $257. Very specific number. It's always like that, right? You can upgrade for an extra $63.72. It's like, where are they getting these numbers from? They're just making this up. Can put for even more, I can put you in economy, elite, royal. The rest of this is a Taco Bell, Pizza Hut joke. Deep dish. Crunchwrap Supreme. Economy Elite World Deep Dish Crunchwrap Supreme. And then here the guy behind him. This is the joke. This is the cherry on the top of the joke. Guy behind him. Oh, my cup keeps sliding around. What a loser. He didn't pay the extra money to get the good premium elite extraordinaire. Sliding around. Huh, what a loser. All right, so now I got these little dialogue lines off. I got the sketch off. We're going to fill in I have a little palette here. I usually look at what the last comic was, what colors I used. Okay, here I used blues and purples. Here I used yellows and I might get some greens here, yellows and oranges. So I try to make it different this week from what I did before. So we'll do some greens for this one. And usually I make these just slightly different than the next one. This is generally how I do it. Now I can get the whites. That's that. Reference that layer. And we're going to do the fill in the whites. This part's fun. Ding. Goes quick. Get a little fat pen to fill in some of the manual details myself. Oops, don't want to spill. We go here. Yoop. Yeah, this method, I don't know. This came about. I really haven't changed the look of Itchy Feet or the way that I do it very much. I mean, the drawings have evolved and my art style has evolved. And there's been little evolutions, but this part, now I do shading. It didn't always have shading on it. Every couple of years, I'll add something to my drawing style just to make my life a little bit harder in the future. Used to be these weren't limbs. They used to be stick figure arms and legs. Now they're full arms and legs. But it's good, it's good to get practice with lighting and shading. It helps me when I have to do something like power vacuum on Kickstarter now. Back it. Do as I say. All right, we're almost done. Going through the end here. Wow, there's really 100 people watching. All right, finishing up. Let me know if you want to draw you something. If you have any requests for something I'm going to sketch, now's the time to do it. Now or never. Well, now or next time I do art stream. Too late, exactly, Sam. You got your alpaca. You can have me draw a llama next time. You know what I don't think I could draw is a kangaroo. Like, I can't even. How is that? Like, how does the anatomy on a kangaroo even work? I've never been to Australia. I've been to New Zealand. I've been to the zoo where I've seen a kangaroo, and I've seen The Simpsons where they have kangaroos. So they go to Australia. So I think that counts as having been to Australia. There's some awful Australian accents in that episode. Anyone from Australia here knows what I'm talking about. There it is. Oh, Mr. Prime Minister. Andy. Oh, you fellas. What's a good word? Uh-oh, froze. Ah. iPad froze. This happens sometimes. When I'm drawing too awesome, when my drawing's too good, it freezes. The iPad goes, oh, hang on. It's too good. It gives me a headache. But this goes faster than something like Power Vacuum, even though the functionally the style of Power Vacuum is pretty similar. You know, I basically have the shapes and the shading and the lines, and that's it. But even so, there's a lot less detail in Itchy Feet, so it does go quicker. But you know, again, I have to do it every week. Power Vacuum, I'll never have to do again unless we do an expansion, which we will do if you back it now on Kickstarter. I have a good idea for the name. I was thinking Space Race could be a good, because Power Vacuum is set in a kind of Cold War alternate universe. I was thinking, ooh, vacuum, like, first of all, Cold War, Space Race, vacuum of space. I think there's puns there. But we'll see. Don't hold me to that. It's Caleb's the designer, so in the end, it's something we have to think about together if it ever does come around to expansion content. Potential for sure. I agree, Sam. There is. Oh, I have a great idea. I had a great idea for a board game. I'll pitch it to you. You tell me what you think. This was yesterday. Break a Leg. That's the title. And in the game, you play as actors in a terrible community theater production. So this is in the roll camera vein, which is my filmmaking game, if you aren't aware, where you basically are in a disastrous film production. So now, by the way, we're doing the shading. So I add another layer, which is clipped to the white layer we just drew. So that way, if I draw, it'll only stay clipped to the white. So that way I can be a bit messy. I don't have to be perfect, and it will still work through. Okay, yeah. So Break a Leg is you're doing a community theater production. Your actors working together, and it's a deck or like a hand. I guess it's deck building. The idea is that basically that your deck of cards is your performance, and it starts out terrible. You have cards like the jitters, and you have stage fright, and you don't know your lines. So you have cards that are just not your lines, and they're all worth terrible amounts of points. And so your goal is over the course of the game with the other players is to rehearse and to basically better, get rid of the crappy cards in your hand, like the stage fright and the to learn your lines and get really good performances down and get direction and all that stuff. I don't know exactly how that would work, but you would build a great hand so that every time you rehearse the whole show, you draw a hand. You draw from your deck. And if you get crappy cards, then your performance is crappy. And then you get bad reviews, and you don't want to have bad reviews. You want to have good reviews. You want on opening night to have rave reviews. You want a standing ovation. I guess that would be the highest quality you could achieve. Yeah, that's the basic idea. I like to pitch my ideas so that I can kind of get a sense for if there's interest. But I like the idea that you're building sets, you're getting costumes and props, and the closer it gets to opening night, the more stress, the more things arise. Then maybe you find out your mom's coming to the show and she's going to be in the audience. You get super nervous, or there's a great reviewer that's coming, and suddenly everybody gets nervous. They get extra nervous cards that get added in. And then you have to maybe combo off each other with the cards too. Like if your performance is a very dramatic one, then there's comedic timing that comes in with comedic cards that players play every time you run the show. I think it would be a good one. Break a Leg. What do you think? Would it spin off the Roll Camera world, maybe a slightly smaller game? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would be in the same universe as Roll Camera. It would still be the same art style. It would still be the same sense of humor. And then smaller scale? Yeah, I think I played Heat for the first time last weekend when Caleb and my brother were here, and we did the big debacle of the live stream that went really poorly. Although you were there, Sam. Bless you, Sam. you were there. You toughed it out. The next day we played Heat. I played Heat for the first time, and I love how the Heat cards work in Heat, the game, where you're basically, it's not really deck building because you're not getting rid of them permanently. You can't really get rid of them permanently, or at least it's very, very hard to. You're trying to mitigate when you cool off and when those Heat cards get drawn, and that gave me this. That made me think like, oh, rather than trying to get rid of the jitters, the opening night jitters altogether, or the stage fright cards. You still got the stage fright. You don't get rid of it, but you push it to the bottom, or you cool it down maybe somehow, with practice of learning your lines and things. Yeah, Heat is good. It's a good one. It did feel like, we only played a couple games of it, but it did feel like there was a bit of a runaway. I guess it's thematic, like there's going to be a runaway leader in races, but it did feel like once you were, like if you made the wrong move and fell behind in that game, you were done for. There was no like coming back once a victor had pulled ahead, at least after the halfway point. In the beginning, it's kind of anyone's game, and then if you screw up once or draw the wrong hand, you're done for. But I'm sure there's more, there's more that comes with experience as well, knowing what types of risks to take. Yeah, Sam, if you fall behind, you're toast. Yeah, which, I don't know, I guess is okay. I'm not going to sit here and bemoan randomness in games when Roll Camera, my most well-known game, well, Itchy Feet too, like if ever that was an unfair game of, I guess Roll Camera is not competitive, so it's a little bit different. But see, I forgot the shadow of his little strap. Loop. Loop. Anyway, it struck me that there, even since Roll Camera, there haven't really been that many games about creative production. Roll Camera, that was kind of what I was trying to do, was show, like, to make a game where you made something together, you worked together in a collaborative way. And I think that's still, I think there's still potential for a lot more of that type of game that captures working together on a creative project. Hasn't really been, I think there's plenty of room there for lots more games like it. I don't like that. I'm just going to leave it no shadow. Because we imagine our light is coming, the light's kind of coming from straight down, because here it's shining on her this way, him this way. So I guess here would be a bit of a shadow. Yeah, that's fine. This guy is having a nice nap. And this person is not having a good time. I like how generally, like, sexless the bean people are. It's a feature, not a bug. I don't even like calling the main character and the Itchy Feet guy. Like, I don't consider, like, he is this Itchy Feet bean is certainly an avatar for me, and most of the time. But I don't see any reason why. It's why in the Roll Camera, like, I don't really see any reason why you can't identify with those characters, no matter who you are or what your identity is. I don't know. I like that feature about it. Sometimes I do very specifically gender them, and it's hard to put a mustache on someone and not then immediately have everybody jump to the conclusion, oh, that's a guy. Well, is it? Doesn't have to be. All right. Are we? I think we're done. That's it. It's been an hour. I finished my Itchy Feet. Thanks, everyone. That was fun. I'll probably, like I said, Power Vacuum is on Kickstarter for the last 4 or 5 days. We're going to crack 100K, I think, which would be great. And Itchy Feet, I'll probably do one of these once a month. I'm probably going to come back when we do the art stream, or sorry, when I do the art for the Roll Camera story pack, the Spy Thriller story pack, I'll probably do some of that on the art stream. And all right, that's it. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you Jose and Sam and Gibran for chatting. That was fun. Everybody have a lovely weekend. Bye.